2020 drop field day hosted at Matakanui. These animals are all born and bred at Mountain Grand Station, owned by Lincoln University. Those animals are all bred through artificial insemination. 50 ewes are assigned to each sire that is put forward every year, AI'd, measured right from tailing when they're DNA tested for all wool, carcass and health traits. Foot rot and worms are right at the priority level of testing. Those animals live their life at Mount Grand until they're shorn at 1 year old in September following their birth, and then go and live their life at Matakanui Station until they have fulfilled the rest of their data gathering, which is generally muscle scanning, foot rot and worm challenges, of which do put some of these animals under a fair bit of pressure, but it's great to see what does come out at the end. So we've got here the Earnscleugh 183663 sire, superfine style wool, entered by Earnscleugh Station. An animal that has chipped away all right in the growth front, out to 7 for yearling weight, 2 for muscle, but is negative 0.3 for fat. Reasonably good on the fleece characteristics at minus 1.3 for fibre diameter, 21 for clean fleece weight, negative in the CV, good staple strength at 2.7. Interestingly enough, when it comes to the challenge on these animals, the yearling feck is a positive 10 and his foot rot has gone out to positive 0.4, which has definitely held these animals back since those challenges have come through. Classing data, these classings are made on looking at these sheep to be good in the conformation and have some wool quality, obviously, be able to produce a valuable carcass, and the ewe progeny be able to rear multiple valuable lambs. And on that classing basis, we had a 5% top, 49% flock and 47% cull rate. So we've got fleeces on display from every sire group. The fleeces that were selected were a good representation, not the best, not the worst, just a good average representation of the fleeces here by each sire. This is by Earnscleugh 183663. This group here is 9 mile 170 another in the superfine type department. This 9 mile ram was nominated by Mountry Station. A wee bit lower in the growth, this ram, however, does come out well in the carcass department. With carcass traits, 3.7 for eye muscle depth and 2.3 for fat. Has good negative breech cover and breech wrinkle as well. Wool weights, he's 6.8 for clean fleece weight, minus 1.3 for fibre diameter, positive staple strength of 3.8, positive feck of 20.9, and a very positive rot of 0.88, which is pretty reflective in what we see here, with the last few months being worm and foot rot challenging. When it comes to the classing, based on the same classing parameters of all these groups, this ram came out at 0% tops, 51% flock and 49% cull. 9 mile 170 fleece. So Mataray 144461, superfine spinner style wooled ram, growth at negative 3.5, muscle negative 1.7 and fat negative 3.3, really reflective of how much emphasis has been put onto wool in the background of these flocks. Looking through, minus 2.7 for micron, minus 9 for clean fleece weight, really good on the staple strength at positive 9.8, but reflected in a negative 14.3 staple length. Once again, when it comes to the challenging aspects, this animal was out to 80, positive 80 for yearling feck. However, is minus 0.59 for foot rot. So has some attributes there that are favourable. In the classing stakes, this animal classed out, or the sire group classed out at 0% for tops, 41% for flocks, and 59% for cows. Mataray 144461 fleece. 170 803, medium fine style ram, entered on behalf of Muller. Growth at 2.2 for yearling weight, just positive in the muscle and minus 0.7 in the fat, with positive breech cover and breech wrinkle attributes. In the wool stakes, minus 1.2 for fibre diameter, clean fleece weight of 28.1, really good staple strength at 7.7. Worms, he is out to 33.1 for yearling feck, and foot rot, he's at minus 0.26. When it comes to the classing attributes, 803 classed out as 0% tops, 47% flock, and 53% cull. Muller 170 fleece. 170 a chew medium style wooled ram. Growth at 3.2 for yearling weight, negative 0.8 for muscle, negative 0.8 for fat. However, is negative in the breech cover and breech wrinkle stakes. Where this ram really excels is certainly in his fleece. This ram at minus 0.1 fibre diameter is clipping out to 40.8 for yearling clean fleece weight, the biggest by some margin. Positive staple strength of 5, staple length of 9, negative 12 in the yearling feck department, and negative 0.16 in foot rot. When it came to classing, 671 had 18% class as tops, 44% class as flocks, and 38% class as culls. Muller 170 fleece. Benmore 181076, super fine to fine styled ram, bit lower in the growth at 0.6 for yearling weight, however really well muscled at 2.6 for yearling eye muscle and yearling eye muscle depth, and 1.1 for fat. Positive in the NLW at 1.2, negative breech cover and breech wrinkle. When it comes to the fibre end of the situation, we're at positive 0.3 for fibre diameter, 9 for yearling clean fleece weight, really positive in staple strength at 8.7, minus 20.5 for yearling feck, but positive 0.3 for yearling foot rot. When it came to classing, we had 2% of this group as tops, 56% as flocks, and 42% as culls. Benmore 181076. (164146). This sire was used in a previous progeny test, so herefore is our link sire for this year. This sire group, when it comes to growth, is out to 10.8 for yearling weight, 1.7 for muscle, 0.9 for fat, 10.5 for number of lambs weaned, and minus 0.1 for breech wrinkle. This ram does well in the sort of fine medium stakes as well, with the wool at minus 0.6 for fibre diameter, 15 for clean fleece weight, minus 2.6 for CV, which is one of the lowest CVs in the entire drop, positive staple strength, minus 28.4 for yearling feck, and just negative at 0.05 for foot rot. In the classing stakes, Earnscleugh 164146 had 6% class out as tops, 66% class out as flocks, and 28% class out as culls. Earnsclew 164146. Middlehurst 180483. Medium walled entry from Middlehurst. 9.4 for yearling weight, 0.9 for muscle and 1 for fat. Negative breech wrinkle minus 0.5. In the wool department, he's -1 for fibre diameter, plus 31 for clean fleece weight, minus 1.1 for CV, 22 for staple length, which is the longest stapled of the merino entries in this year's CPT, minus 5.8 for yearling feck. However, where he falls down is he is a positive 1.28 for foot rot. In the classing department, we had tops of 29%, flocks of 49%, and culls of 22%. Middlehurst 180483. Matakanui F478 of 14. Growthy Polworth type sire, 7.3 for yearling weight, 2.1 for muscle, 1.5 for fat. However, is very negative in the NLW at -20. Yearling fibre diameter of 0, 20.4 for clean fleece weight. Interestingly enough, negative 0.87 for staple strength, which at the visual classing stages was definitely seen. Negative 17.6 for feck and minus 0.34 for foot rot. When it came to classing, the Matakanui F478 progeny came out at 4% tops, 60% flocks and 37% culls. Matakanui Yak 056, Polworth sire, 6.8 for yearling weight, 3.9 for muscle and 1.8 for fat. In the fleece department, Yak is positive 0.7 for fibre diameter, 34 for fleece weight, 6.8 for staple length and just negative for staple strength, positive 14 for yearling feck, minus 0.74 for foot rot. In the classing, Yak came through reasonably well with 15% tops, 57% flocks and 28% culls. Melrose 180548, a Corriedale quarterbred type ram, really excels in the growth department, out to 15.4 for yearling weight. Good carcass data at 3.3 and 2.8 for muscle and fat respectively, with a negative breech wrinkle of minus 0.3. When it comes to the fibre, this ram is definitely the strongest of the group at positive 3.3 for fibre diameter, 17 for clean fleece weight, positive in the staple strength, 25 for staple length. Worms is where he excels along with foot rot at minus 62.1 for yearling feck and minus 0.91 for foot rot. These sheep, when they were classed up, came through at 22% tops, 71% flocks and 7% culls. The Gums 18076, quarterbred sire, 7.5 for yearling weight, 0.9 for muscle, 1.3 for fat, negative 1 for breech wrinkle, one of the leaders in that department of this group. When it comes to the wool traits, just positive at 0.1 for fibre diameter, however is minus 0.35 for clean fleece weight. Also negative in the staple strength at minus 0.45. Handy in the WEC at minus 21.2 and really good in foot rot. Second best of this year's drop at minus 0.98. When the Gums mob was classed up, 4% were assessed as tops, 64% as flocks and 32% as culls. Cleardale 18-10-51, quarter bred sire, really good in the growth at 17.3, 2.1 for muscle and 1.9 for fat, positive 8.2 for number of lambs weaned and minus 0.7 for breech wrinkle. When it comes to the wool, Cleardale 18-10-51 is positive 1.3 for micron, 22 for clean fleece weight, out to 20 for staple length, really negative in the feck at minus 64.7 and handy in the feet at minus 0.53. When these animals were classed, Cleardale 1051 had 28% classed as tops, 54 as flocks and 18 as culls. Southern Cross 180141, a bit of the shining light for this year's drop at the CPT. Really well balanced ram across the board, in my opinion. 12.2 for yearling weight, a huge 5 for eye muscle depth and 3.5 for fat. Positive in the NLW, minus 0.8 in breech wrinkle. When it comes to the wool, a bit stronger at 2.4, but he is a quarter bred, so we can accept that. 9.2 for clean fleece weight, 26 for staple length, minus 19.3 for yearling feck. Really good in the dag, and this is relatively noticeable in this pen of sheep. Really exciting to see a fine wool sire coming through with next to zero dag on these animals. And minus 1 for foot rot, which is the leading foot rot sire in this year's progeny test as well. When it came to classing, we had 12% assessed as tops, a massive 80% as flocks, and only 8% as culls.